Oh, finally, I have finished my two fronts. So I've cast off both of them, and now I'm going to show you how to join them together at the top. You'll be doing it this way, of course. And what I usually do is I will put a link to another lady who shows in great detail as well how you join the shoulder seams. But when I join it, I go like this up on my desk. I'll just show you this. So here's that front like this. Make sure you get the fronts the right way with the pockets closest to the middle where the button band goes. And so I have my back like that at the table, and then I have my front like this, the one with the pocket here. And when I put it together, I start from the outside pieces and I work the way in. And the way you do it, it ends up with such a nice clean seam. I absolutely love it. And then when I want to do the other side, because I'm right-handed and I want to work right to left, because that way, if I worked here and I started here in the centre and went over, I have to count all the stitches to make sure I'm in the right place. So what I do is I start from the very outside and I just join it in until it finishes, matching up each stitch. So what I do when I do this side, when this one's all done, I then turn it around this way and making sure the pocket's way down on the end here, that you always got to make sure you've got it the right way. I then start this side on the outside and work my way into the middle. That's just how I end up doing it. But you understand as I work along. So I've counted all my rows up with the stitch markers, and then I only did it because they were both on the needle at the same time. I only put stitch markers on. It's all curled over this side going up here because I was doing fronts at the same time. If you're doing them separately, you'll have to count each side, each row, each side doing separately. So yeah, some people have sent me pictures of what they're doing and let me know where they're up to, and that's really excellent, really pretty. So there you go. So now I'm going to be able to put it all together. So quite exciting when you get to this part. You feel like you've really gotten about halfway over. All we have to do then are the sleeves and the button band. So I'm getting excited now. I had a whole week off with no knitting because I was so busy in town and going to the shops and paying my bills and just mucking around doing housework that I've basically had a whole week not knitting. So I've just sat down this morning. It's Saturday morning here at the moment, and but by the time I sew these up and show you the video, I'll be on a different day maybe. But yeah, so I'm quite pleased. Look, the colours ended up the same on the fronts. So that worked out excellent. I'm really pleased about that. All right, so I'll put you up onto the desk on the other camera so you can see up close exactly how I'm going to put them together. Right, so I've got you up here on the table. So I've got the back at the top. It doesn't matter whether you start with the back at the top or the front at the top, but I'm working from the outside in. So this is my front, and I have a long piece here which I'm not going to use. I've actually got the long piece here that I can use on the back. So I've got my trusty little needle, so I'm just getting myself set up here, and I've got a couple of stitch markers just on hand because sometimes I just put them in here just to hold it, but I'll show you as I go along. So what I do is on the top, now I don't say back and front because later on I'm going to turn it around. So on the top, I've actually written myself a little note. I keep a notebook of notes. On the top, you pick up the legs when it's a V-stitch, and on the bottom piece of knitting, you pick up the not V. So you'll pick up a leg of the right stitch and a leg of the left stitch, and you always go back into the same hole. And so those are my notes to remind me. Because my yarn's coming out of the top piece here, I'll go first in here and I'll just find the very edge. And so the bottom knitting is the not V. So here is a V here. We don't want to go in there. There's the next V. We don't want to go in there. There's sort of a V right here on the edge. We don't want to go into there either. We want to pick up the opposite legs. You see that there? If I get too close, it might go blurry. And I'm just going to start pulling that through. Now, if you don't have a long piece on your outside edge, you just get a piece of yarn and then you can knot it up later, weave in the ends and everything. So here, right up against the bottom here, there is a V-stitch there. There is the next V-stitch there. So I'm going to pick up both legs as close to the edge there, the cast off edge, and I'm going to go through there. And then the bottom here, see how we came out of here? I'm going to go back into the same hole. And this is a not V, see? There's the V there, but there's two legs of different stitches. There's the actual V. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to pick up that leg and that leg. And it's a not V. That's how I remind myself. It looks really pretty when it's done. And then you can, it's hard when it's the same colour, but there's my yarn coming out of this hole here. So I'll go in this one and it's a V. It's a V stitch. So you go right back into the same space where it came out of and you pick up that V there. On the bottom, you can see where the yarn's coming out here. I go into the same space and it's a not V, and you just work your way right over. And this way, if you started from the middle, you'd have to count stitches. This way I just work all the way over until all this front piece is finished, and it's just stitch by stitch. So I came out of the bottom here and I'm picking up the V. So you always have your little note handy, going into the same hole here where you came out of, and I'm picking up the V. So it's a nice quiet little job to do when you're relaxing. Down here you pick up the not V, so you go back into the same space. So do you get the idea? So you just work your way across, and then when I've done about this much, I just pull it firmly tight, and then I sort of go back again. You don't want to scrunch it up, but you want it to be all picked up. And then what I do sometimes is I just go like this to hold it. You don't have to do this, but I just sort of do that to hold it a little bit. So one more time, I've come out of the bottom here, so I go back into the top. There's the hole I came out of. I'm picking up the V, there's the V, go back into the same hole, pick up the V, then I go down to the bottom. Sometimes it's easier to have it open because you can just pick it up, so you don't have to have that stitch marker there. So there's my yarn, it came out of this hole here, and I'm picking up the not V. And that's just how I remind myself to how I do things. And it looks really pretty when it's done. And underneath, you've got this little seam here, and I think it's really pretty. You don't feel it. I've done this on all my cardigans. You don't notice it's there, but it's a really tidy, pretty little stitch. And so that's what I'm going to go and do all the way along this front. And this would have been, if I hadn't cast off, this would have been my 6th row where I would have twisted the yarn. So because I cast off, I didn't twist it. So you can actually see really clearly picking up your stitches. So it helps if you're not trying to pick it up when you're really close to the cable here. So bottom, picking up the V stitch, going back in the same space here, picking up the not V stitch, and see as I'm pulling this yarn through, it's getting all loose and everything. After a while this will actually pull apart. So, and see there, see how it does it when it's pulled through. It does that on some yarn. So sometimes I have to join another piece, especially when I'm doing the long side pieces. But there you go. That's how you work your way along. And just showing you once again my little note to myself. You can take a screenshot of that. This is how I write myself notes. And people say, oh, have you got a pattern? No, I just write myself notes that I can understand. And you can do the same. And I have a notebook of notes. So the top, you pick up the V, and the bottom, not V, and you always go back into the same hole. And so when I do the other side, I'll turn the whole thing around, and the other front will be at the top, and the back will be at the bottom. So that's why I don't call it back and front. It's just whatever's on the top and whatever's on the bottom. So I hope that explains clearly how I do it. I will try and remember to link the original video where I saw this, and if I forget, please remind me, and I'll come back when all this is finished. Right, so I've gone right across, and you just finish off, and I'm leaving these 2 long pieces because I'll just knot them together and then weave in the ends later. And when I do the button band, it goes up and around. You won't see anything. So there you go. And what does the other side look like? Look at that seam, and it's not as bumpy as you think. It just looks really cool. I think it looks like a really cool seam. So there you go. So just make sure you got your right front on the right side. The cable goes towards the buttonhole side. So what I do now is I'll turn the whole thing around so that that front is up there. And I'll grab my other front and find the end. So many long ends. So the back doesn't have an end this time. The front's got an end, so that's handy, and it's on the outside. So exactly the same thing. I'm going to start off, and even though it's on the top, I'll just start off on this side and work my way towards the middle. And then I'll put it on the floor and show you what it looks like. So this is the exciting part. This is when I feel like I'm almost finished. And then it's just the sleeves and the button band. So I'll be showing you those steps as well. So I'll get this put together, and then I will put it on the floor so you can have a good look at it. So I quickly wanted to show you this part as I go across the purl stitches. So I've come out from the bottom here, and I'll try and show you. So you might think, oh, where do I go? So find where yarn came out of, put it back in there, and just pull up these stitches and see how you're pulling up a V, even though these are the purl rows. So just go back in where you came out of, and then you can just see that V there. on the top piece of your knitting. I'll show you that once more. So always just find out where you went in. That's the knot V. And so here's more of the purl stitch, and you sort of think, where do I go? So find where you went in, go back in, and then when you lift it up you can see the V, and that'll keep you on track until you get to the other side. And then I'm back. You can see there the V stitches, and I'm back. So that's how I just thought. I was just sitting quietly in the sun and doing this, and I thought I'd just show you that, because I'm the type of person, when I first do something, I like to see every detail when somebody's showing me, and it's always nice just to see what they do. That's it there. Always got to double check what I'm doing. So I'll just keep going along to the end. I hope that's helped. So there you are, my cardigan, my fronts joined at the shoulders to the back. So we're getting there. So I'm very pleased. So it's a nice tidy edge, and there it is on the inside, and you don't even feel it. So there you go. So, and it's all oblongs. You notice I've done no shaping. We've gone up straight, total oblong. And because I took some stitches off the fronts, I've got a little bit of space here at the back. Yours will be different depending on how many stitches you took off your fronts. And then the button band will go straight up and around. So I'll show you all that when it's done. So I'm very pleased. So let me know how you're getting along. You can send me photos of what you've been doing. I've been receiving a few photos. They look absolutely awesome. And I'm really pleased with the way the colours are matching up on the front. So that's the first time that's happened, using 2 balls of yarn to get the same colour. So let me know what you're up to and send me some photos.